Bratislava, Slovakia is not typically a destination people visit on their European vacations, which is crazy because it's only a 1-hour train ride from Vienna, which so many people visit. It's actually located on the border where 3 countries meet: Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary, and you can get to Hungary's capital city of Budapest in only 2.5 hours by train. It's a unique city where old meets new, east meets west, and green spaces meet an urban atmosphere. And that leads me to the first thing I loved about Bratislava. It's a city that seriously feels like you have stepped back in time. It is crazy, the feeling you get when you're walking around the old town here. Even though there isn't a ton to do, I would still highly recommend coming to visit because it's just so cool to see places that feel like a time capsule, places that are frozen in time, and that is Bratislava in a nutshell. The country only gained independence in 1993 when Czechoslovakia dissolved and both Slovakia and the Czech Republic became 2 independent countries. So if you think about it, that's really not that long ago, only about, 30 years ago or so. So you can feel how old everything is, how archaic and not modern everything is. And I don't mean that as an insult. It really is cool to see that in 2023. It feels like you went in a time machine back 100 years ago to some tiny village, but really you're in a capital city in the 21st century. It's wild. And it also means it's not as big of a tourist destination as many other European cities. And that's something that I personally love. I love going off the beaten path. I love finding places to see and fall in love with that aren't super basic, super touristy that everybody goes to. So if you like going off the beaten path, stepping back in time, or honestly just feeling like you've been transported into another world, Bratislava needs to be added to your bucket list. Next up, we have a food dish that changed my life. And you might be thinking, what? Central Europe is not known for having one of the most delicious or unique cuisines, but oh my God, this potato pancake was out of this world. And I know they have them in this entire region. It's not just unique to Bratislava specifically, but I tried them in a few other places like Budapest and Vienna, and they didn't even compare to the one that I had at the main Christmas market here in Bratislava. So in Slovak, this is what it's called. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that, don't want to butcher it, but I got the one that had cheese, sour cream, bacon, and onions on it. So essentially what I would compare this to is a baked potato, but the potato part is smashed into a patty or pancake shape and then deep fried, so it's super crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. And then of course, anything topped with cheese and bacon is gonna be amazing, but honestly, I don't think I can go back to eating a normal baked potato after this. It was just so much better. I want to attempt to try to make it on my own. We'll see how that goes. So I highly recommend trying this one or any of the different potato pancake variations that Bratislava has to offer. This one is going to seem like a really weird reason to love a city, but hear me out. The recycling game here is unmatched, unlike anything I've ever seen before. I mean, I know in the States we are a little behind in regards to things like recycling, like especially people in their own homes, like on a daily basis. Europe is just so much better in this area. Anywhere you go in Europe, you will always have a trash bin and a recycling bin. And a lot of times they even take that a step further and have several recycling bins for all the different things, paper, glass, plastic, so on. New Zealand was actually really good at this too. But anyways, in Bratislava, they had six different bins, and next to the bins they had color coordinated signs that corresponded with the color of the bin that would explain what the bin is and examples of what goes inside of that bin. They were extremely detailed, and as if that wasn't enough, which it really should be more than enough, people should be able to recycle properly with such clear instructions, they have people actually working at these little recycling stands, so they will direct you on which bin to use for which items, or sometimes they'll even just take it from you and throw it in the bins themselves. I genuinely was shocked. I couldn't believe how much care and detail went into recycling here, and it was really awesome to see. Next up, we have the Christmas markets, which I know doesn't apply year-round, but oh my gosh, they were so cute. I was already on a Christmas market tour throughout all of Central Europe, and that was the main purpose of my trip, was just to see you know, from Vienna to Budapest, all things Christmas. And I knew we were going to stop here in between the two cities just to check it out since it was on the way, but I honestly had zero expectations for what their Christmas markets would look like, especially after coming from Vienna, which has so many incredible fairy tale-like Christmas markets and has, you know, a big expectation for Christmas in Vienna. I had zero expectations for Bratislava, but they were amazing. Definitely a different vibe, not like Disneyland fairy tale-esque like the Vienna ones, but they were so cute, so quaint, so charming. All the stalls were bright red, had these red and white designs on the roof, so it genuinely felt like Santa's little village or something, and it just fit with the vibe of Bratislava. Like I talked about in the first point, Bratislava is a city that feels like a time capsule, or that you've stepped back in time, and that's exactly how these Christmas markets felt too. It was so small and intimate with Christmas music on the speakers, a huge Christmas tree, and such old village style buildings on all four sides, so it just felt so authentic. And even out of all the Christmas markets I visited on that trip throughout all of Central Europe, Belgium, and even in London, where I live, this is one of my absolute favorite markets. Something about a charm will just stay with me forever. So the fifth reason why I love Bratislava is the funky and fun floral art around the city. I'm not even sure if it's art or what you would really consider it, but I felt like art was the best way to describe all of these things. A common theme in this video and why I love Bratislava is just how unique it is and how it's not like anywhere else I've ever been before. There's just a vibe about it. So I loved seeing these fun art pieces all around the city that just played into that vibe. The first one is this plaque to commemorate the first witch burnt to death in Bratislava in 1602, which overall I just felt like was cool to have that there in honor of that woman. But the plaque itself is just super artsy and super cool to look at. Next, we have this compass looking thing right under St. Michael's Gate, which opens up into the old town. So the whole experience of walking under this gate is just incredible. But this compass looking thing on the ground shows the direction and distance of a bunch of major cities around the world. And I know what you're thinking. A lot of cities do something similar to this, but I've mostly only seen something like this on like a vertical sign, and then it has different cities sticking out in the direction of where they're located. So I felt like this was a cool way to do that same kind of concept, but in a more unique way. Very Bratislava of them. And lastly, there's this super cool statue called Man at Work, where a statue of a man is coming out of the drain pipe. And again, it might seem ordinary to you or like who cares, but I've seen a ton of statues throughout my travels, but none have ever been coming out of a drain pipe. So again, thought it was very unique, very cool. So I have a bonus one just because I find it funny and very unique, at least to me. Cheese vending machines. This is something I have never seen in my entire life, and my first thought was, won't the cheese go bad? But obviously not, because they had so many of them everywhere. So I don't know if they are refrigerated vending machines or if they're only used during the colder months where it's basically a refrigerator outside naturally anyways. I mean, when we were there, it was about 29-ish degrees, I think, and I could easily see my breath the entire time. Or maybe it doesn't need to be refrigerated like eggs. Yes, Americans, we are the only ones who refrigerate our eggs because of all the preservatives and bad things that are in them in the States. But yes, they have cheese and milk in the vending machines. Very, very interesting. So I'll keep my eye out for cheese vending machines everywhere else I go in the world now. So Bratislava might not be on the top of your European bucket list, but I promise you it really is so worth a visit. I really wasn't expecting much when I went, but I left having fallen in love with this charming capital city, and I hope you give it a chance and go visit too. You really won't be disappointed. Now let's take a look at the top things to do in Vienna, which is only an hour away on the train.